with regard to the live stream discussion of this film, Never, Never Say Never Again. But before we do, let's wait a few moments. And, oh, and there we go. Let's wait a few moments, and then we can start after. Let's see, we can start in a minute or two. So let's just hold on for 1 second. So thank you very much. I hope everyone is well today. Oh, Samuel, hello. It's nice to see you. Thank you very much. Zyrother's here. Hello, yes. Damn fool, yo. Oh yeah, I'll try. I'm not good at with my Edward Fox impersonation. Damn fool. Oh yes, Daisuke, I'd like to offer you lunch at my club. Yes. All right. I might have other plans. Zyrother's, I've come to terminate some free radicals. Yes. Oh, do be careful. Yes, yes. We'll talk about that and other things. This is going to be a very, very great time. I hope. I'm looking forward. I could already sense the excitement from you. Thank you so much. Erwin is here. Hello, my dear friend. Thank you so much. This is I'm not sure how. Yeah, I'm not sure how popular this is or how well regarded this is in current James Bond film fan circle, shall we say? But it is there. It is certainly a treat, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you about some of the reasons why I think it's a lot of fun, and hopefully I can hear from you. Anything you want, my dear friends, about this, your feelings and viewpoints on this film, Never Say Never Again. Before I continue, I should say also that our dear friend who is here in the live stream, damn fool idealistic crusader. He is here, and I think it was maybe, I want to say, a week or so ago, maybe a little bit more. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but on his channel, he's been doing, among other great things, he's been doing the James Bond commentaries. And so he provided the commentary track, his commentary track, to this film, Never Say Never Again. So please check out Damn Fool Idealistic Crusader and that and all of his other videos and live streams and the like. It's an incredibly impressive collection and channel. All right, so we'll give it one more moment and then we will begin. Yes. Let's see, Damn Fool continues now. If only someone would release a home port of Domination. Yes, yes, we'll talk about Domination, or I should say it in the Largo way, Domination. So, I designed it myself. Yes. I bet he says that every time, right? Whenever he talks about the game Oh, what is this, Mister? Oh, this is the game called Domination. I designed it myself. I bet he says that every time. I designed it myself. But anyway, Zyrother says Atari 5200 could run. Oh, interesting. Erwin says, I rewatched it again yesterday. Never been a fan of this one and still is very low on my James Bond from best to worst list. No problem, my friend. No problem. A Damn Fool says, thanks for the mention. It was very rewarding to do the commentary on NSNA. Never Say Never Again. Okay, so let's begin, shall we? So it's let's see. Great, let us begin with our discussion of Never Say Never Again. So, greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and here we are once again with a live stream discussion. And today we are continuing with the James Bond film series. Today it is now where we've reached the point where we will be discussing this film, This is the very interesting film from 1983. It is Kevin McClory, Jack Whittingham, Ian Fleming's story, and that's a very important point to keep in mind. And then this is produced by Jack Schwartzman and Kevin McClory, according to the credits. And this is also a very important point, too. And it stars Sean Connery, among others. And this is also a very important point, too, because we understand that this is the so-called, excuse me, the so-called non-Eon Bond film, and that has its roots and origins in what is known as this issue regarding certain intellectual property rights that have to do with or that are the underlying basis for the idea of what is Thunderball, or what we understand to be Thunderball. Now, there are so many details, and so much has been written about this. But this film, of course, is Never Say Never Again, and directed by Irving Kershner. And so there has been so much written about this. But I think, well, before we get started into that area, let us just proceed with the preliminaries of this and every other James Bond film discussion that we've had here, which is so this is the live stream. And so welcome. Everyone is welcome here. And so we will be talking about this film. And you are free to use the live chat, which is now available. Now, oh, let's see. I'm already so excited about Never Say Never Again that I've forgotten what it was I was about to say. Oh, yes. Please forgive me. Yes. So I will be speaking about this film, Never Say Never Again, and I don't claim to be any kind of expert. I don't claim to be an insider. I don't have any special information of the sort. I come towards this film, excuse me, as a fan of this film and as a fan of the films themselves, or in general. So I don't claim to know everything. If you have any questions for me, chances are I might have heard about it, or chances are I might not know anything about it. So, but I will be focusing in on my own understanding as a fan, what I've read, what I've seen in documentaries, and what I've seen through the film itself. So, but if you have any questions for me of a specific sort and I can't answer it, I apologize immediately or in advance. But there are many other people in the chat who are much more knowledgeable than I. And so hopefully you can find some kind of satisfactory solution or response to whatever it is you may have to say. Also, if you have any questions for me, thank you so much in advance for that. Today I will be focusing on this film primarily. So if you have any questions that aren't about the film, I apologize. I might just skip over those. But I will try to address any questions that you have. For instance, if you want to ask it to me again in a video comment or something, I look at the comments, and so I always do my best to reply to all the comments. So you can always ask me in a separate video comment question. Also, let's see. Yes, also, of course, I will be speaking, and people here will be speaking about specifics of the film. And so, if you have not seen Never Say Never Again, please, I encourage you to turn off this live stream and watch the film at your own convenient schedule time. And then when you've seen the film, you can always come back. This will be still up and running, or it'll be uploaded as a video to this channel after the fact. And of course, yes, the live chat is available, and I will do my best to mention everyone who is appearing in the live chat. If I missed your name by accident, I really, really apologize for that in advance. I'm doing my best here, but I do make mistakes. So please forgive me if that happens. But I will always try to mention everyone, or as many people as I can. And also, of course, I'm relying on you, my dear friends. You have always shown me and everyone else here so much respect, and you have shown us a willingness to listen. And even where there is disagreement, you have always shown a real wonderful way to have a nice, healthy debate and still respect people's opinions. And also, at the same time, just at the end of the day, we are all friends because this is a common thing that we all enjoy, which is this and other Bond films. And so, I want to thank you very much, as always, for showing me and showing everyone kind of a sense of you've always shown me respect and listening, and so thank you. And so I thank you also in advance for continuing that spirit of a kind of openness and a mutual respect for everyone. So thank you very much. And of course, the live chat is for you. You can express anything you want about this film. If you like it, if you dislike it, if you dislike it vehemently, please let me know. Not a problem at all. This is the sort of thing that is very important, to express what it is that you feel about a certain thing. And then this is not a debate or anything of the sort, but I will be very happy to listen to anything you have to say or you may have to say. So, in that spirit, my friends, let us begin with the live stream. But first, let me now go to the live chat. I'm not. I'm. I'm. I am not sure. Usually the live chat or the live stream itself gets maybe, I don't know, maybe around, I want to say what, like 20 or 30 people, maybe a little bit more, I'm not sure, but around that during the live session itself, and then some people watch after the fact. I think today it might be a little bit of a smaller group, maybe because of the film itself, maybe because I'm not sure, but I think that's whatever the number is. I'm very, very excited because even if it's like one other person, to have a chance to talk about this film, Never Say Never Again, my goodness. In a live stream, my goodness, I'm looking forward to this immensely. So, the whatever the size of the group, even if it's an intimate size, I think this is going to be exciting. So, I look forward to it, my dear friends. So let's see. Okay, so let me go to the live chat first, and then I will begin. Erwin continues. My favorite part is probably the fight between Connery and Pat Roach, yes, Lippy, at Shrublands, but it lacks the atmosphere of Thunderball Shrublands moments. Ah, that's interesting. We'll get to that fight in Shrublands overall later in the discussion, but thank you very much for that. That's a great fight, by the way. Damfool, the production issues really hold the film back. It's a miracle they even really finished, and most of that credit falls to Connery and the AD. Yes, yes. There's interesting things that have been said about Connery and Schwartzman, I know, and the production history. Yes, a very interesting one, but it does hold itself very well. It does feel like there are different parts going on. That's for sure. And when one says, "How does this film compare to, say, an Eon-produced film?" I mean, it's a hard act to follow in a lot of ways. But still, there are, I think, really, really strong elements to it. Um, you know, uh, and I don't know. Well, I was going to say something about the tango scene, but we'll get to the tango scene later. Yes. Da-da-da-da-da, twice, right? Anyway, so, um, let's see. Damful continues. The Shrublands fight was completely improvised, which is why it goes on. It goes on for too long. Yes, it goes from like the weight room to the TV watching area in the hallway, and then to the kitchen, and then to the place where they keep all the samples. And yeah, it's amazing. And then they go into that nurse's room. Yeah, so. Let's see, just skipping over. Samuel Stevens says, a really strange aspect of this movie is how often the characters turn on pop music. For a film filled with more mature characters, they sure love their teeny bopper music. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I wonder what do you have any specific characters or specific moments as examples of this? I wonder. This is an interesting comment. I recall, for instance, the music that Fatima Blush is playing when she's driving. and she's driving next to or catching up with Captain Jack Patachi after the warheads have been successfully replaced into what they understood to be the dummy warheads test flight or test rocket launch. And then and then she's playing the music, and then of course she throws the snake in. Boom. I understand that part. And then of course there's the music when they're in the Bahamas, and Fatima Bush is dancing before she sees Bond, who's now alive after she thought he was dead with all the sharks and all. But yeah, so there's that stuff. But is it Teeny Bopper? I'm not sure. I think it has this nice maybe 80s cool, relaxed jazz sound, pop jazz sound, or something of that sort. But that's, I think, in keeping with the score, which we'll also talk about as well. Michel Legrand. Samuelson, thanks. By the way, Samuel, I'm just about to upload a video to answer your viewer question from a few months back with regard to Alfred Hitchcock. So it'll probably be up later today. So thank you very much for that. Kubrick Lover, yes. Let's see. Oh, didn't know this was on. I have seen this film, but have only seen part of it recently. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm so bad with my scheduling. So, but this is. I hope you're well, my friend. Yes, Damfool says, I hope everyone has been able to find a copy. It's frustrating that MGM and Eon have let this and Casino Royale 67 go out of print. Is this now out of print? I don't know. I have this Blu-ray from Japan, but please note I have another Blu-ray of it from Europe, I think, and that has the commentary. But this Blu-ray from Japan, it doesn't have the commentary track. So just anyone be wary if you're going after, say, the Japanese Blu-ray. It does not have the commentary track. Tobias says, hello, Daisuke. Keep up the good work. Greetings from India. Oh, hello. It's nice to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So let us now begin. Whoops, excuse me. Let us now begin in earnest with just my opening comments, I suppose, from my vantage point. This film, Never Say Never Again. Okay. So the film Never Say Never Again was from the early 80s, so 83, right? And of course there's this whole idea about where it came from, its genesis, the whole work between in the 60s between Kevin McClory, Jack Whittingham, and Ian Fleming, and for some kind of story involving James Bond, and then how later Ian Fleming, according to what has been reported or what is the part of the official public record, as it were, Ian Fleming then took the story and then wrote the book Thunderball. And then this is where essentially the whole thing began. Because what does that mean in terms of the collaboration between and among McClory, Whittingham, and Fleming prior to what happened with Fleming's taking the story and then writing it and turning it into the novel Thunderball. So this is where all that stuff comes in. Now, excuse me here. Now, and then this is where this film emerges, because the fascinating, complex, and oftentimes murky area of what is known as intellectual property law and intellectual property rights is such that one has to derive the line of what is the basis for that which is being now created upon that, known as a derivative work, etc. And what is the basis for films being made from, say, novels. It's not necessarily the case of, well, we understand that Ian Fleming wrote the novels, excuse me. And so we understand too that rights are transferred over in terms of the right to, excuse me, the right to, excuse me, I need to have some more free radicals in my system. But in terms of the, sorry here, this is not good. Okay, so what was I saying? So yes, so the whole point is that the whole issue of the intellectual property rights of this particular story or this involvement led to kind of complex situation in terms of that the rights upon which or that upon which the rights for Eon to make its films took place versus the claims of the intellectual property rights that McClory and Whittingham had vis-a-vis Fleming and what they created back in the 60s. And this is therefore the basis for what became the line of the rights of McClory and Whittingham and then later McClory to make this story, which is their production of what ended up becoming Never Say Never Again. So, hold on for 1 second. Sorry about this. Technical difficulties. Just hold on for 1 second. Okay. Excuse me here. All right. So therefore, this has a very interesting and kind of an maybe in many ways a kind of odd situation and maybe disadvantage, a situation that's filled with disadvantages, perhaps from a critical and a popular perspective, because what it means, therefore, it exists separately from what we understand to be the long line of Eon-produced films of the James Bond character. So, therefore, it does exist in this odd, weird place. I get it, and sometimes it's a confusing thing because there are references back to certain aspects of this James Bond character that we understand, associations with characters like M and Q or Algernon. But it is referenced. He does refer to himself as Q and Moneypenny, etc. Working for the British government, 007, and things of that sort. But then there are other matters that we understand and that we feel from the film series that we understand or feel are thus standard, but in fact they are exclusive to that film series because of the intellectual property rights generated within that are recognized by applicable law. So that means that some things aren't here in this film, like say if the oft-used James Bond music, the theme songs that we are used to from the Eons, that's not here. There's a certain way in which those other films have an arrangement of story information, like a pre-teaser or pre-title sequence or a gun barrel. That stuff is not here either. But what we do have is we have other elements, and so it is on this weird, interesting plane that this film, Never Say Never Again, emerges. Now, the details are much more immense, and there are many more specifics to the story. And so I encourage anyone who is interested in the James Bond film legacy to really read about this story. It's a fascinating story. I think oftentimes, especially from the viewpoint of Eon, perhaps understandably so from that viewpoint, maybe the Kevin McClory side is often regarded as being like a kind of maybe pain or maybe almost the ultimate antagonist of sorts. But in fact, actually, Kevin McClory and Jack Whittingham, and then Kevin McClory, of course, they have a really, or they had a claim, or they had rights to this. So I don't know if anyone is to blame here. I'm not sure, but think about you work very hard. You have all these all-nighters working with someone to think of a story, and then the next day you hear that person has written the story and published it under his own name. It's that sort of story. So and so then anyway, it's a fascinating tale, and it had ramifications up to say the most recent film from starring Daniel Craig. But in any event, part of that is here. Now, when we come to the film itself, Never Say Never Again, I saw this film, or I remember seeing this film in the theater. My mom and my dad, or if it was just my mom, I forget, but I have memories as a kid going to the theater, and I remember seeing the 007s, on the screen there as the film opened up, dun dun dun, and the wonderful theme song. You walk in a room, and then we have James Bond, and he's doing the, and then the, what is it, the frisbee, the frisbee thing there, and then he's crashing through the thing, and the shootout, the fight, and then suddenly the woman who's in the bed suddenly, oh, right, and then that was shocking to me, and then I realized, or I didn't realize at the time, but much later, but as a kid watching that, just seeing that and seeing Sean Connery's James Bond just getting it in the side there, was very shocking to me. I didn't quite figure out that it was a kind of a war game, or just an exercise, a training exercise. It seemed pretty real to me, actually, but I bring that up just to say that I have seen this, or I do remember seeing this in the theater, and the I don't remember the entirety of it because I was quite young, but it means therefore that I think I have a very and I loved it, and ever since then it's been something that I understand and acknowledge exists in this very strange netherworld, or strange alternate universe of Bond in a certain point of view, because I'm used primarily to the Eon film universe of James Bond. But still, it has a lot of strengths for me, and there are a lot of lovely memories that I have that are associated with this film, or watching this film, or memories watching this film, that for me make this film uh, really a wonderful time. And there are weaknesses from my point of view, that's for sure. I've come around to a number of them. In particular, one area of music choice that was a very interesting one that I thought at the time. But I've come around to a lot of. There are still a number of things that I don't quite get about this film, and I'll try to explain the reasons why if I have an opportunity today. But uh, all that being said, I really enjoy it very much. Is it my favorite, say, film that features the character of James Bond? Let's put it that way. Probably not, but uh, there are so many fun moments, weird choices, and odd, quirky things. It has that wonderful 80s vibe to it. Maybe it has a lot to do with the music and the look and the fashion and the hairstyles and all that. Maybe it has to do with that. But it's also it, that's not a bad thing from my point of view. And in fact, it can be quite a strong thing. It does have those 80s currents to the stylings. It has some great characters and great performances too. If you think of all the main characters here, Bond, Largo, Fatima Blush, Domino, and excuse me, and then you add into that maybe Ernst Stavro Blofeld and Patachi. So we have all these characters and the performances that are given to them and devoted to them, or I think some of them in particular are outstanding. Outstanding. Um, I'll highlight Klaus Maria Brender as Largo, and then Barbara Kerr as Fatima Blush. These are, I think, the standouts. And then, of course, there's Sean Connery, who is so cool, and he has this. Um, he has this undeniable energy. Um, I think it was Shane Rimmer in one of the documentaries. I think it was for Diamonds Are Forever, where he's talking about Connery, saying he sends out a whole lot of voltage when he's in the room. It's just there's something about him, even as he's walking down the steps in Shrublands, in that oh so you only live twice, underground railroad, underground subway, secret subway type of thing. He runs down the steps, sidestepping it. And so, with the wonderful white towel around his neck there, And so in any event, there is this spirit in the air, and this ruggedness, and this captivating quality that he undeniably has, even in this maybe so-called unofficial Bond film in many ways. I also say, I mean, I use the word unofficial. I really should take that back. It's not really this case of it being official or unofficial. It's just, it's outside of the Eon universe. And so, and again, for a lot of people, myself included, the Eon films are for many the ultimate representation and incarnation of the James Bond character in the storylines. But of course, again, that is the wonderful, complex, and murky side of IP. It's really it's derivative works from something that came before it. So, what comes before it? So this becomes the key. In any event, my friends, this is the approach that I have towards it. Every time I watch it, it becomes a wonderful, fascinating aspect. And so I'm looking forward very much to discussing this with you, and any takes that you might have on it, good or bad. I'm very happy to listen. So, in that spirit, my friends, let us go forward with this discussion. Before we do, let me turn to the chat. Thank you. Oops, sorry. Okay, Zyrother says the score is okay, doesn't stand out, but it's not bad. Let's see. Zyrother continues. I think Connery broke his wrist on this film. Yes, there's a story about that, and Steven Seagal. Yes. Let's see. Damfool continues. The film really grows on you and has great riches buried within. What they should have done is followed more of the older Fleming type Bond and taken inspiration from John Gardner's 80s Bond novels. Let's see. Kubrick Lover 72. I did just share this right now on Facebook. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's see. Erwin says, I can appreciate the actual physical work Connery does here at his age. Kubrick Lover 72 says, is Connery wearing a toupee in this film? Samuel Stevens, there's one scene where Largo is angry after seeing Bond with Kim Basinger. Let's see. Damn Fool says, yes, it was a record-breaking $52,000 toupee, apparently. Samuel Stevens says, hooray. I think that, is that towards what I said earlier about your video, or is that towards the comment about the toupee, I wonder? But I think it's about the video. But anyway, thank you very much. Damn Fool says, Connery wore varying hairpieces really going all the way back to Dr. No. Yes, I understand that is also the case, yes. So Damn Fool says, yes, it's out of print. We're talking about the film. That's a shame. The Blu-ray now goes for quite a bit. That is a real shame. This should get a good release soon, I hope. Goodness. Into Gray is here. Hello. I cannot stay long, but I hope you're... Oh, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. I'm just scrolling down. Seth Walsh is here. Hello. It's nice to see you. You have to work tonight. No problem. Hope everyone is having fun talking about this great movie. I will catch the live stream later. Thank you so much, Seth. Not a problem. Talk to you later, my friend. Excuse me. Damn Fool continues. Eon fought the production. Yes, in the courts. Meaning that Never Say Never Again had to stick extremely close to the 1961 novel and original McClory, Winnie, and Fleming treatments. Yes, there was many attempt in the courts to prevent or to stop this. Yes, but and that makes sense too. It makes sense to protect one's own interests by stopping the others from releasing their own. I mean, that makes perfect sense from a financial and a legally strategic vantage point, definitely. Let's see. All right, so I think, let's see here. Okay, scrolling down here. Let's see. Scrolling down. Zyrolter says theme song will be stuck in my head for a while now. Not a bad thing. Frogman is here. Hello, Frogman. I'm not a big Bond fan. That being said, Connery was the best. He knew how to balance Bond's campy character better than most. Damn fool, idealist crusaders. As song starts, you walk in the room. Yes. Yes. A man who says never, right? So yes. So let us begin with that. So, the film starts with this, as I say, this really interesting opening with the whole idea of the introduction of Bond and the physical element in this, what we understand later to be a training exercise, but we don't know when we're watching it, and he's going through this base of some sort, trying to infiltrate it, and downing the guards one at a time with the sort of shh and the and all this, and all the time you're hearing that great theme song. Oh, that's great stuff. Great way to open. Not to mention the as I was mentioning earlier, the opening credits and and then the things how it's written, and then it goes into that wonderful the '80s action film font, with the red titling, I think, and so. And then we have this whole set piece, right, with the fighting and the gunplay, and this is to show, of course, I think Sean Connery in his physical capacity, and he looks the part. He looks great, and you can see that he can hold his own in terms of the screen presence, especially when you get into the part later when he's fighting one of the guys in the room with the woman there tied up. The idea being she has been kidnapped. That's part of the what is it, the plot of this particular exercise. And then, excuse me, and then the fight when they're doing that reminds me a lot of the pre-titles fight sequence that was in the film Goldfinger, in this rather cramped one-room space. And so you hear the thuds and you can feel that. So I thought that was great, and it gives that wonderful shock, twist, surprise of the young woman with the knife there. And then which is also very reminiscent of a lot of the other Bond films in terms of Bond being killed, or is he? And those sort of twists that we see, a lot of the Harry Saltzman-esque twists of that sort. So that already there's a type of independence in terms of what this film is vis-a-vis the other films, but then there are also these inherent links that I think one can't help but make, or one can't help but feel or sense, even if it's a distant level. But anyway, this is an indication that Bond is back, or specifically Sean Connery is back, and I think this opening is really quite well done. Maybe some people might think that it could have used a more serious or suspenseful action type of music rather than the theme song, but I think it's a great juxtaposition. It's almost like a mind blowing juxtaposition. Really, it's like the song is going one way and the action sequences are going the other way, but that's fine in films, and it adds that further punctuation that this is not just a Bond film, but this is a great '80s action film. And so it has that wonderful, almost well-placed sense of contradiction, which I think it might not be for everyone, but I think from a type of, say, '80s vibe viewpoint, it is very pleasant to watch. Let me put it that way. Now, then it goes into an abrupt cut, and we're seeing the replay of this, which is like watching the rushes of a film, I think. And then you have the counter, and then we realize this is a game, and it reminds us too that we've seen war games or field exercises in the past or in other films, or we will see them in films in the future, right? When I say films in the future, we'll see something similar in, say, The Living Daylights, which will come a few years later. We saw it in a film like, say, From Russia with Love on the other side, at the very start of that film, and so this isn't uncommon. It also adds a certain twist. It also gives us the introduction to the quote unquote new M, who is the replacement of some other, his some other M, or in the case of as Edward Fox's M puts it, his predecessor. And then we understand that the double O's have been more or less been out of action because of this new M's approach to the the double O program. And so that means that he hasn't been doing, or Sean Connery's Bond hasn't been doing, he's been more teaching. And he says, he talks about how he's been killed on a number of occasions. But he does say, he thought, what was it? M says he was killed twice, and then Bond corrects him, says once, but you were killed twice. Talks about a landmine exercise. What does Bond say? And I paraphrase, correction, I lost both legs, but I did not die. So that is the setup for the Double O program being pretty much defunct. But they will be back, as we know, and Sean Connery is part of that. Now, this then leads to the whole thing about M ordering Bond to go to shrublands because of too many toxins, too many free radicals, and the like, which is an interesting thing because, I think because M regards this result of these tests as being Bond is not on his very best. Although Bond says, when you're out in the field, your adrenaline, it gives you an edge. And so, but M then orders him to go to shrublands, right? This is in order to rid his body of what M perceives to be too much drink, too much martini, too much of these excesses of luxury, of gourmet luxury, etc., and all that. So, and this leads to the very famous line that he says to Moneypenny, right? I'm to eliminate all free radicals. So this then goes to shrubland. So already we have this very interesting setup. A new M in this really white, almost palatial interior office. So we don't really get our sense of geography or environment necessarily. We don't get any exteriors until we see the exterior of what we understand to be shrublands, this lovely estate, which is used as the exterior for this this retreat, essentially, for this health spa retreat. I think this is where Bond goes. Now, coincidentally, of course, we understand too that this is also where Spectre is planning to have the convalescence of Captain Jack Patachi, and the cover being Captain Jack Patachi or someone with his own private nurse, who we understand is now Fatima Blush, is now staying there as well. Now, what does this mean, right? This brings us to this wonderful, odd plot. Now, I mentioned that there are many things about this film, many things about many films I don't understand, but when we're talking about Never Say Never Again, now, I don't get this. It's great. This is a wonderful thing about Bond films, right? But it's weird. Okay. So, now, the idea of Spectre here, again, we have the whole introduction of Spectre and the underground hidden layer with is it a bank, I think, and a special bank vault. They turn the key, which reminds me too, they have to use the double keys. And this is also one of the links that I have in my mind between this film and the film Superman 3. For anyone who knows Superman 3, there's another strong link between this film and Superman 3, and I'll get to that also in a second. But one of those links is the two keys, right? In the great words of Richard Pryor, both keys at the same time. And then Fatima Blushwood said, oh yes, you turn the keys, you open, you go down, you go into that light sensor thing in the bars, and you go in. The wonderful close-up of this skull, which we understand turns into a camera. And then we have the introduction of the man with the white cat, which we now understand to be Ernst Stavro Blofeld in the form of Max von Sydow. So wow, already going on, and Max von Sydow sitting on the top of the stage there with all the people there, and Fatima Blush sitting as part of that, and then we get the whole plot, or the introduction of the plot, with the video audio link with uh, Largo, Klaus Maria Brandar as Largo. This brilliant performance, and we get a sense of it too with those great glasses that he's wearing, and then the little introduction, the little teaser as to what's going on. Now, already we get some details here. In this world of Spectre, Blofeld is not number one. Largo is number one. Fatima Blush is number 12. Blofeld refers to himself, I think, as the Supreme Commander of Spectre. So already the numbering system is not quite what we're used to, right? Because Blofeld in the other films would be number one. But now here he's Supreme Commander or Supreme Leader. And then um, uh, 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 Largo is number one. Okay, so that's an interesting organizational change within this, or not organization, it's a different way of organization than what we maybe be used to in, say, the other films. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing too is we understand that Spectre is this is non-political organization, but all of its choices are purely financial. It says it makes arms deals to one side and the other. It doesn't discriminate in that way, but it does have uh, its plans have this nefarious bent to it, which is, of course, what we're used to in a world of James Bond of heroes and villains. These are obviously the villains, okay? And then we have all the trappings and all the traits of Blofeld and the cat. We see his face, though. That's an interesting thing, too. We see his face here immediately. But what happens later is when he broadcasts the message to the various governments after the warheads have been placed into the missiles and then been stolen, or they've been stolen. Then he brings out his message, and when the skull opens and the camera lens is revealed, and he's sitting there on his I guess it's a counter or something, and his face is cut off from that particular broadcast. So that leads to that whole bit with the seeing his face or not seeing his face. I think it would have been really fun to have his face hidden, but then have it revealed later. I don't know. Oh wow, it's Max von Sydow. That's right. Anyway, so this is an interesting presentation of the Spectre area plot here. Now, what it leads to is this very brief explanation from Largo as to what the plot is. They're going to have Captain Jack Patachi, who unfortunately has, through some unknown reason or through some set of circumstances that are not known to us, has become addicted to drugs. And Spectre is exploiting this addiction, in order to have Jack Patachi use his position in the U.S. Air Force to be able to replace what the Air Force, during some kind of missile exercise, using dummy warheads in a missile, to replace those dummy warheads with actual nuclear warheads, and then take those missiles and then steal them. So they need Jack Patachi in order to be able to replace the dummy warheads with the actual nuclear warheads. Okay, and they're exploiting his his dependence, or his drug addiction, in order to do that. So already this is pretty dastardly stuff, right? Now, how did they do this? According to Largo, they managed to put a corneal implant into his right eye, which therefore is an exact replica of the retinal pattern of the President of the United States. Now, and then using that retinal pattern, which is an exact replica of the President of the United States, they're going to have Jack Patachi go into the system and use that retina to pretend he is the President of the United States in order to order the computer to replace the dummy warheads with the actual warheads. Now, the question I have is, how did they get a retinal copy of the eyeball of the President of the United States? That is a very interesting question. I've never quite been able to figure out, actually. But anyway, Spectre is very, I guess, has resources in many areas. But in any event, they managed to get this copy of the right eyeball of the president and then have it implanted, or that copy, facsimile, also surgically implanted into the eye of Jack Patachi. And so that leads to this wonderful, weird look that he has with this eyeball and the contact lenses and this kind of creepy look that becomes even, the creepiness becomes augmented or magnified, actually magnified, because the way that the device is, where he has to use his eye to trigger the particular mechanism that allows the warheads to be replaced in this briefcase type of trigger, uh, makes it kind of a creepy, weird, stylistic choice. So it's that's an interesting thing, but I don't quite get that whole thing about the pattern of the president's eye. But okay, what, it's a James Bond film, we can go with it. And so this leads the whole, right, the snowball effect, right? It goes down, and then therefore, in order to recover, he goes to shrublands, right? Coincidentally, and of course, coincidentally, this is also where James Bond is at the exact same time, and so, and it's this timing that is crucial, because this is the way that Bond is able to make the link between what he sees across the window there, uh, in terms of the activity between Fatima Blush and Pitachi, and the whole setup there, and then going into the room and seeing the cigarettes and the matchbook, which has this logo of the black logo with the yellow, and I think this is meant to be the logo of Largo and the flying saucer. That is a very tenuous connection. Like it's very straight. I'm not sure exactly how Bond was able to quickly look at that logo and say, "Oh, this is now a link between what happened here uh, and um, and Largo." But apparently, he's able to do that because after the warheads have been taken, we see Bond later in the computer looking at the net worth of what we understand later to be Largo, and he's holding the matchbook, and so therefore we understand that is the clue that he had in order to link whatever he saw here in Shrublands with Largo, and that leads to the whole. So all that stuff actually is, to be perfectly honest, I don't quite get how they were able to make that jump, how the government was able to say, Bond, now you must go and observe the flying saucer, that boat, the ship, the yacht, the luxury yacht that Largo has. So that stuff is not clear to me. It's not clear to me either that they knew that. Well, in any event, so this is all stuff that I think I'm not sure how strongly it holds up upon close scrutiny. That being said, of course, it is a Bond film, and it is also a film that is Thunderball, essentially, or it has links to Thunderball, as we know. And so we can kind of go along with it. You don't have to have all the links there specified or spelled out, because we can. It's the whole point is really Bond in action, and so that's perfectly fine with me. But already we see these things that are just maybe opportunities there for Bond to be back in action in the Bondian way, and so already. But anyway, this is the jumping off point for the rest of the plot to come. So in any event, the plot is as it is, and then therefore Bond is assigned to, from here, to observe the I was going to say disco volante, but it's actually flying saucer, right? To observe the flying saucer, and then to then observe Domino, and then make contact with Domino. And through his making contact with Domino, with the massage scene and everything, then he goes to the charity event, and there's where he meets Largo. And then he has his run-in with Fatima Blush beforehand. Um, I've made you all wet. Yes, but my martini's still dry. And then a couple of run-ins with Fatima Blush, by the way, leading to a very spectacular chase, and a spectacular confrontation between Fatima Blush and Bond, and then leading to further uh, uh, observing of the flying saucer with Felix Leiter. Felix Leiter suddenly is out of the picture, and then Bond is just sucked into the underbelly of the boat, and then he goes in, and then they go to Palmyra, and then there's a whole thing with you know, escaping from there with the horse, and then going down, and then Bond is like, oh, the first missile is in Washington D.C. And that's all he has, you know. And then they go, and then they're recovering, and then Bond has to go back and for the final battle because the second warhead is still out there. By that time, they've of course managed through some way, I'm not sure, because all Largo said to him was the first missile is right under the president's feet, so it's in Washington D.C. But where is it? We're not sure. But they were able to find it and then disarm it, and then they were able to tell Bond somehow the disarming code, which is what he uses to go for the final battle to get that final thing, with the tears of Allah, right? And that wonderful line when Largo tastes the water, oh, it tastes sweet like money. And then the final battle with the whole thing and the statue falling and the underwater fight sequence and the whole thing with the that little platform, that boat that runs the warhead, it runs right into Largo. He's trapped there, and then Juan is about to do the thing. Largo's about to, and then and then that's the end. Oh, never say never again. Boom, that's it. Great stuff. Okay, so that's a type of flow of it. But of course, there's so much more in terms of the layering, the moments, and the intrigue, and um, the peculiar, particular, quirky, and the memorable that are all underlaid or embedded throughout. So never say never again. Okay. So before we go into some of those specifics, let us go here. Let's see. Damn Fool says it's an interesting approach. Oops, hold on. Sorry about this. Erwin says the soundtrack does have some pretty good themes. Yes, I think the soundtrack's it's pretty good. You know, I think the one that gets a lot of attention is that one with the motorcycle chase after what happens to Nicole or Nicole, and then that's I think that's really great because the setup of that is highlighted so well because it's linked the bass line, I think, is linked to the sound of the clickety clack of Fatima Blush's shoes as she's rushing down the steps. And that's perfect because it's those shoes that form part of the character in many ways of Fatima Blush. And that is the maybe the audio cue or link between what we see on the character on screen, what we hear on screen, and then the music that is applied to the score. So, and then it goes in and out, of course, but. And I love the moment where the motorcycle is introduced, and then the music then cuts out, and it allows the roar of Sean Connery's or James Bond's motorcycle to take over. That's a great choice, and it has that excitement in the air. It feels almost like um, there's the in Japanese or in Japan there's a character Lupin Sansei, Lupin the Third, and there's, for instance, those who know the Studio Ghibli movie, or not, it would have been before Studio Ghibli, of course, but they know the filmmaker Hayao Miyazaki, and one of his early feature works was this film called Castle of Cagliostro, which features that character. It has that same feel in terms of the use of the upbeat jazzy score in these exciting action chase sequences, and so there is, I think, room for the use of that type of music. And again, if it works for some, it doesn't work for others. That's totally fine. But that has that type of feel to it. It's almost like a laid back type of a chase sequence. It also reminds me a little bit of, or I'm reminded of it when I see later the opening after the titles, the opening of the film Goldeneye, when we see the cars with Bond in one car and Xenia in the other, and so it has that same feel to it. Of course, I know the dynamics are different, but the it has that same, even down I think to the color of the car. I think Fatima Blush is driving a car whose color is red. So, but any event, yeah. I think the scores it's really great. But of course, that's also one of the things too, which is one of the great weaknesses, which is it doesn't have that James Bond film score oomph to it. There is no, I mean, because that is one of the great things about the Eon produced films, right? Because it had the score, the music is so, like that theme song is so important in terms of how I perceive James Bond or my understanding what the character is. And so I know for me, when I watch, say, the Eon films, whenever the score is used, there's that extra kick of, or to, you know, to borrow Connery's phrase in the film here, there is that extra sense of adrenaline. And then so the, without that, it just feels a little bit maybe lacking. There is punch, of course. There is a type of audio or musical punch that is provided elsewhere. Don't get me wrong, that's certainly the case. But without that, that has it right. It would have, whenever one hears the James Bond theme, it just one it picks up. It gives an extra sparkle, you know. So that I acknowledge is a weakness. But that being said, the musical score choices are very interesting. Particular favorites in particular are, for example, that slightly almost sleazy sounding music that Domino and is practicing her dance routine in that studio, you know, and and the other one is the tango. Your brother's dead. Keep dancing. Largo is the prime suspect. Your brother was used and then eliminated. Ah, it's great stuff. So the so those are some highlights for me as far as the musical score. But what are there any highlights for anyone out here as to what the music in terms of the musical score? Are there any pieces in particular that you enjoy or not? Either way, let me know. Um, as I wrote this, I like the short cue when Bond arrives at the health clinic. Yes, yes, still in pretty good shape. Yes. Um, Jared is here. Hello, it's nice to see you. Okay, and then Cooper Clever says, back, I don't know if I'll have to leave at some point. No worries, Cooper Clever, no worries. Thank you so much, as always, my friend. Zarother, the score works in more quiet parts. Action stuff just falls flat. That's a fair point, my friend. Very fair. Let's see, Samuel. The whole film has a French sensibility to it. Ah, interesting. And we all sense that Legrand's score is a major part of it, but also the gentle parody tone of the film. Not too serious, somewhat madcap. That's an interesting way of putting it. It also has some of its locations, right? Some of it is set in the south of France. Let's see, with the character of Nicole and the villa, right? Find that villa, according to Fatima Blush. Uh, and Damn Fool says NSNA definitely has a European and British feel and some French qualities due to Nice, but it's so nowhere near as French feeling as Moonraker was. I was about to mention Moonraker, but you beat me to it. Well done, my friend. Irwin says the humor is quite something, especially the deadpan way Connery delivers the quirky one-liners. Yes. Yes, I lost both legs, but I did not die. Yes. Ryan is your hello. Hello, Daisuke. I have not had the time to follow the channel in some time, work, but I'm very glad to see that it is still a lively and stimulating forum for discussion. Well, thank you, Ryan. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Nothing to do with me. Everything to do with you and everyone else here. I am very fortunate that YouTube has this ability to interact with people. So thank you very much for your enthusiasm. It continues to inspire me 1000%. So I wouldn't be able to do it without you and others here. And I'm just uh, uh, I'm just part of the conversation. It's you who are providing this great chat here and elsewhere. So thank you, my dear friend. Yes, there are definitely there are definitely the inherent linkages. We would see the war games reappear in the Living Daylights. Also, of course, from Russia with Love. Are there any other war games? Oh, yes, we were speaking of just the other day, right? Just the other day, not just the other day. Die Another Day. Yes, so that would be an interesting title for a Bond film. Just the Other Day. Maybe that should be the next one after No Time to Die. Um, let's see. Irwin says Calvin Dyson from Bond YouTube fame. Yes, I'm a big fan. I love his channel. Made some fun comments on the music during the opening, comparing it to Octopussy and showing parts of that opening with All Time High, which makes it look weird. Yeah, yeah. It does have an All Time High vibe to it. It is All Time High-ish. But I did mention and say in our discussion of Octopus, I think All Time High is an underrated class. I think it's great. Uh, it has that nice, lovely charm to it, and this song too, "Never Say Never Again," has that. I love see never, never, and I love at the end when the word never, Bond says never again, and then Kim, Domino's never, and then never, never. It's like nevers all over. Like where did all these nevers come from? That's great. That's great. And that has to do with the music and never, 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 and then Bond turns wings down, down. That's it. That's a great way to end, and that's an example of how well the song plays in the context of this film. Yeah, so many nevers at that moment, right? How many nevers are there? No, there are the never, never say never again. Oh, sorry, never, never say never again. Never, never say never. Okay, so there are 6 nevers that are sung in that ending moment, and then Bond says never again, and then Domino says never. So there are 8 nevers in the space of say maybe less than 30 seconds. So is that a record? Has anyone ever done a count uh, of the most times that the word never has been used within the space of 30 seconds? My guess, my hunch is that's probably the world record right there in that particular moment. The most times that the word never has been used within the space of 30 seconds in any given film that has seen a commercial release in history. Okay. If anyone has the answers to that question, please let me know. Damn Fool says, this is the film to perfect one's Connery impression with. Yes, yes, yes. Any line that Sean Connery says, um, what is it? I forget the line. The one where he goes into, and the poor guy, right? This guy, you know what I'm talking about? Like, yeah, oh, that's a great. Thank you very much. This this has a small gyroscopic sensor inside. Any lateral movement on and you'll be put in an egg cup. Oh, it's great stuff. Yes, yes. So you're right, damn fool. This perfect film to perfect one's Connery impression. Incidentally, it's also the perfect film to perfect one's impression of this scene. Ah, it's a great scene. Great scene. So anyway, we're not even haven't even gotten to Domination yet. But anyway, yes, Irwin says it's against service policy for agents to give endorsements. Right. Yes, that's another go. I have you, Bond. I'm about to guess where you'll get the first one, but oh, wait a minute. I want you to write down that I was the best. Yes, I was gonna put you in my memoirs as number one. Oh. Right. What was it? Don't you know that making love to Phantom Bush was the greatest happiness of your life? Well, actually, there was this woman in Philadelphia. Right? Ah, it's great. The way he says Philadelphia, fantastic. Um, yes. Okay, so now let's go to. Um, Yes, Damn Fool says Max von Sydow as Blofeld is dream casting. Such a shame he gets wasted by not being used much. He's got a great voice and a great presence. And he looks so happy. You know, he looks every time he's on screen. He looks like he has this great smile. Like, even when the first warhead has been disarmed, the one in Washington. After that, there's still like there's a shot of Blofeld talking to Largo when Largo's in the in that area. What is it? The Tears of Allah area, and the it's a satellite link or something, and Blofeld's seen in his little HQ area, just so happy, and with the other Spectre agents, and he's just sitting down, just so excited. But right, recall that the first warhead has been disarmed, so he really should be angry. Why did you let the first warhead get disarmed like that? What are you doing? But no, he's so happy, and everyone's having a good time, and that's all. But anyway, so yeah, so it's a very interesting performance of Blofeld. It's too bad, yes, it wasn't used again. We didn't see it again. Um, okay, so Damful says Kirshner, the director, Irvin Kirshner, says he had to fight hard to keep Brandar reined in somewhat, as he was extremely improvisational. That really adds a charge to all of the Largo scenes that make the performance so riveting. Yes, for example, the spitting of the water, yes, sweet. Tastes like money was totally improv. There are so many quirky, but that's great. Let's go to the characters and the performances here. So, Largo, Klausmer Brandar as Largo. This is one of the strengths of this film. This character and the way it's portrayed is, I think, off the charts amazing. And Damfool and others have referred to the quirky, odd choices that sometimes are employed here. For instance, the first time we see him with Domino, and Domino's insisting, what would happen if I left you? And he says, I cut your throat. And that's the and like, okay, all right. If that's not a clue to get the heck out of there, I don't know what is. But anyway, okay, she's still there. And then there are some other things that we see throughout. Just those little, like when he's got Bond chained up there in Palmyra, in this sort of fortress area, and just the first one is the first warhead is under the president's feet. That's going, oh, bye. It has that. It reminds me also of kind of, um, uh, well, when he just suddenly blurts out "bye." That's great, and other things too. When he's with Domino again in Palmyra, and he's got that statue, which was from Napoleonic times, and then just breaks it, and you're crazy. He said, "Ah, yes, I am." Right. And then Domino tries to slap him, but he just whistles the Walter. Oh, wow, that's really creepy stuff. Those are just off the wall, brilliant, just very odd choices that work so well, and just the delivery line and the look of his eyes when he sees how Bond and Domino are together at that charity ball, and he's in the shadows with Fatima Blush or looking from beyond. You have one more chance. You better not fail. Number 12. And then Fatima Blush is, of course, we'll get to Fatima Blush later, but those are great choices. And of course, I would say maybe the whole scene, it would have been great if we had a final confrontation between Bond and Largo that wasn't underwater, that was maybe on the shore, so we could see their faces, we could see the interaction, we could see the frustration in Largo's face, rather than be masked behind the mask. But that's okay, because we still get a number of these great confrontations throughout the other parts of the film. Included, of course, is the what I think is probably that's probably for me, maybe it's the best scene in the film, which is and say it together with me, my friends. What's the game called? Domination. I designed it myself. So the domination scene. This is I think the scene, um, and the whole explanation is so great. I wish I had it memorized. I don't, but the he's talking about the the right hand controller and the left hand controller. The left hand, what is it? The controlling of the two nuclear missiles, and then the shields to block the missiles. You will be red, I will be blue. Right, and then they begin. and then the whole thing about the electric shocks, and of course this whole uh, now of course maybe it looks primitive to some in terms of the graphics, the computer graphics that are used, but that's part of the charm. And it's on this table. It's this long table. It's this almost, I mean, it's a completely different conversation. But there's this. It's a Citizen Kane slash a Stromberg type of setup with this long table. It's surprising to me that there wasn't any. Well, maybe there was maybe something under the table that we didn't see in the film. But in any event, there's this long table, very luxurious, very expensive looking, and then the screen that turns into this computer virtual reality type of screen. And then we have one opponent on one end and the other opponent on the other sitting with the screens also that open in front of them. And this forms the basis of the platform that is used, the hardware that's used for this game. I would love to have this game. I think Damn Fool mentioned it earlier. Has someone invented this so you can play it on your, I'm like, I would love to play this. And that voice, I don't know what does that voice have a type of, it's not Kit from Knight Rider. It's got, oh gosh, it's I wish I could do it, but reset, danger, 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 pain level 60%, danger. But in any event, Domination, and we see here again the quirky side of the Largo performance, and also the battle between the protagonist and the antagonist, and how Bond is seen to be maybe he will lose, but then finally he gets the upper hand, or is able to turn the tables, as he is so oft to do in these sorts of films. And he says, I don't know, I've never lost. Well, he did kind of lose in the first part of of that domination sequence, right? He lost, I think maybe you can say he lost in the battle over Japan, and then over the battle of the United States. But then he won, of course, in the battle of the rest of the world. I think France was the example, and Spain didn't count because Largo didn't tell him about the electric shock that you get. We are not just armchair generals. We will feel the pain of our soldiers on the field. And that's the whole principle. And that's just an extra little dig at Bond. He just doesn't tell him. I think he doesn't tell him on purpose, right? It's just a little dig. And all the while, Fatima Blush is just trying to make all the people in front of her, thank you, get out of my way, I want to watch, this sort of thing. But that's a great scene. You see also the look on Domino's face. She's concerned for Bond, and then this is also her further realization that Largo is really over the edge, just right. And just so you see that dual concern or worry, which is another great character trait. Of course, you see Bond in action in a certain way, in this odd new way, and this video game format. We saw the video game motif, as it were, set up a little bit earlier when we see Bond re-meet Domino, this time in this casino type of charity ball setting, when she goes into the room with all those arcade games. So that's a great little subtle way to set up this arcade type of showdown between the hero and the villain. And again, we haven't seen this, I think, right, in any other Bond film. So it's totally unique, totally one-off, and it's great, and it makes one wants to play the film. And gosh, we have to do it, right? We have to. I mean, I did the whole thing here with this guy and this impersonation, so we have to do here our Domination impersonation. So do you at home, my dear friends, do you have your own, your friend, you're playing your Largo, and just, or let me start again. So when the battle for the world begins, you notice how Largo immediately goes like that, right? She tries to shoot one of the sections, or one of the territories, and so there's that little bit of impersonation. Also, of course, Largo, as the pain level rises, as his side is losing, is going like this, Max, Max, right? Pain level, danger, 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 and then you see here, right, and so that is, yes, that's great stuff. Great stuff. The domination sequence, and what was it? I always forget the actual number, right? Because he lost, what is it, $9,000, $16,000. I forget the amount for the United States, and then I forget, what is it? The amount of the world is $325,000. So $325,000 minus the amount of the United States, which I forget offhand. I apologize. Plus the amount that he lost from Japan, and the other amount. Uh, uh, um, would be the net 260, was it 267,000? Please correct me if I'm wrong. He said $267,000, but then he said, I'll settle for one dance with Domino. That's a pretty expensive dance. That's great, but it looks it, right, with that tango that leads. Da, 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 da. That's great stuff. Great. And this is, of course, the means by which Bond is able to tell Domino what his mission is in terms of the link between him and what happened to her brother, Jack Patachi, right? So this is keep dancing. Largo is the main suspect. Your brother was used and then eliminated. So, and then he interrupts in that wonderful Largo-esque way. So this is, again, the backdrop or framework or playground in which Largo as a character lives and breathes and creates this truly almost horrific, frightening villain, all the way down to the really creepy stuff in terms of watching Domino as she's dancing, and it's very almost kind of sleazy, kinky way, which then Bond exploits, as we know. And he says, I want to provoke a reaction by kissing Domino. And of course, he has another reason to, because he says he always wanted to. And that leads to the whole thing of him being able to send a message out from the special private radio station, I suppose, in the Flying Saucer. Why they didn't keep him in a cell on the Flying Saucer, I have no idea. They just let him roam around, walk around. But anyway, that leads to the final confrontation, Palmyra, and then the escape, and then finally the final showdown between Bond and Largo. Again, a really great performance, a really great, well-realized character, I think. Yeah, Danfoles is exactly. How did they get the retina pattern? Yes. One must assume they blackmailed the president's ophthalmologist. If that's the case, they should have gone through the ophthalmologist rather than say, "Okay, we've gotten the ophthalmologist thing done. Blofeld, shouldn't we follow up with the ophthalmologist? Maybe, since this ophthalmologist is so close to the president, maybe we can exploit this." And Blofeld, no, I think we should follow number one's plan to go a completely different route. To use that pattern and implant it into someone in the U.S. Air Force to then take nuclear warheads and then threaten the president and other governments around the world in order to have them give us 25% of their annual oil supply. That's probably a better situation. But we have the link to the ophthalmologist, Blofeld. Why don't we? No, be quiet, go away. I want to focus my energy, Spectre's energy, on this person. So that's probably how that's one possibility as to how the conversation might have gone in that Spectre meeting boardroom. But oh well. Yeah. Jay Canada's here. Hello, Daisuke. Just finishing up a brutal day of surveillance and noticed you were alive. I would have loved to have been a part of these Bond discussions, but I missed the boat long ago. Check you later. No worries. No worries. The boat is not left. It's always back in dock. So if you want to hop on anytime, my friend, there's still a couple more to go. So not a problem. Anytime, my friend. Anytime. Damn. Whoops. Oh goodness. Let's see. Skipped on me again, the chat. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. It's an interesting approach to the stealing of to the stealing of the bombs, but it does lose all the tension from the in-air hijacking. Yes, but it does have that great music of you see the bombs being and you even get the shot of the missiles as they're flying through the air with the little kids playing on the beach, and they don't even know it. It's great. This huge shoo shoo, and they're just playing. Let's play. It's great, great shot. Yes. It reminds me of a similar shot that we saw in Superman 3. I forget too. Yes, of course. The great Superman 3 connection. Gavin O'Hurley, right? What is it? The great Superman 3. Superman 3. I say this about many a film, but I would love the opportunity to have a live stream on Superman 3. That is, wow, yes. I'll save, well, the moment when I realized, much later in life, I saw Superman 3 again when I was a kid, but the moment I realized, much later in life, that Annie Ross was also this great, great jazz singer. I didn't realize it at the time. I thought Annie Ross was just, she played a part in this film Superman 3, which I saw, as I say, in the early 80s, and I was a kid. Then later, I realized Annie Ross is this legendary jazz singer, and I heard one of her songs for the first time. My mind exploded when I made that connection. That's Vera? Wow, amazing. Wow. And anyway, that's just, gosh. What does he say? You will tell the pumps to stop pumping. Will you stop interrupting? And then I love the bit where they're in the balloons, the hot air balloons, and there's a little lever or something, and she just turns the lever like that. That's great. Anyway, sorry to get off on the Superman 3 tangent, but it does have certain relevancy when it comes to Never Say Never Again, because there are certain performers who appear in both films. There's little details that emerge in both films. They are from the same era, from the early 80s. So anyway, we'll save the rest of that Superman 3 conversation for another day. Can't say it's your hello, you say. I love Sean Connery as Bond, but this is a terrible film. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, it is. It's a film that is not for everyone. Certainly that's the case. Yeah. Yeah, Irwin says, "Yikes! That whole white slavery bit they pushed into the film right before the finale is so out of it." Yes, it is. That doesn't date very well, does it? And so, and yeah, they maybe it could have been handled somewhat differently, but and not to mention the horse. Yes, yes, yes. That is those don't read so well. That's for sure. But it does it does go maybe fairly quickly in terms of the overall running time of the film. But you're absolutely right to bring up those points, Arwen. Absolutely right indeed. Zyrother says the Tears of Allah pendant Domino had was a map to the area, marked the spot where Largo wets to plant the bomb. It does, yes, thank you. It does beg the question: if I were Largo and I were to, if I were to concoct this plan to essentially hijack, or not hijack, but to steal these nuclear warheads in order to essentially obtain vast amounts of wealth from these various governments from all over the world in terms of their oil supply. If I were Largo, the last thing I think I would do would be to create a map that has the location of the second warhead and to give that to someone else. That's probably the last thing I would do, is to create a map in the form of a pendant. But that's me. I'm not Largo, and I'm not. Largo is much smarter than I am. He has thought this thing through. He maybe had a certain plan when it came to this pendant map. But I don't know. Do you agree? I mean, if you were to concoct this plan, would you have had that map? I probably think maybe it would have been right. If it weren't for the pendant, then they wouldn't have been able to find the second warhead. But oh well. As they say also in the film here, c'est la vie. Such is life. Felix Bronkhorst, hello. By the way, what is your favorite Bond film, Daisuke? You know, after doing these live streams, my Bond favorites list has changed slightly. So maybe I will talk about that in a separate live stream. But there are a number. Maybe yeah. But my number one choice, I think, has changed. My what For the longest time up to last year when I began these live streams, I would have said my favorite Bond film was On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Now it's still up there. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is maybe number 2 or number 3, but number 1 is a film. Yeah, it's not On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I love that film to bits. I love On Her Majesty's Secret Service to bits. Um, but yeah, there is a new number 1, much like number 1 Blofeld has now been in this film. Number 1 is now Largo. So anyway, maybe one day I will talk about that. But Erwin says, let's see. Sorry. Um, all right, just scrolling down here. Yes. Excuse me. Oh yes, the overalls Bond. Yes, and the whole scene. Um, this is right. The scene, right? Oh, you said you'd catch me later. Yes, and there's a great connection there, between Never Say Never Again and The Spy Who Loved Me, of course, right? Hello, I have a message for you, right? So it's great to see that emergence, and right. Looks like we made the right decision. Oh, your place, Sherman. Ah, it's yes. After the whole room has exploded out there, yeah. But of course, right. They have other things on. The room on the other side of the hotel is exploded. Oh well, we are concerned with other matters as they obviously are. So anyway, um, yes. Damn Fool says, your brother's dead. Yes. Keep dancing. Yes. And Erwin says, surely True Lies took some inspiration from that tango scene. Oh, that's a very great connection that you make between True Lies and this film. Yes. Excuse me. Damn Fool says, Legrand wasn't the best choice, but provided some good moments. There are times where it sounds like his Ice Station Zebra score. Interesting. Very interesting, yes. Damien is here, late to the party, but made it nonetheless. 2 actors from this film that have cast in official 007 films as villains are Klaus Maria Brandauer and Pat Roach. Yes, both were excellent characters. Yes, Pat Roach. Yes, yes, Lippy. This is great. Now, I know people have mentioned how it maybe goes along. I think it's a great fight sequence. This is the Shrublands fight sequence. After Fatima Blush has discovered that Bond is there, with that wonderful night vision sequence, and then after that, Lippy is dispatched in order to try to get Bond, and it starts in the weight room, goes through all parts of the hallways, and then the kitchen, and then finally the urine sample, right, and then the whole thing where he backs himself into the wall, and stabs himself with all the glass and the beakers, etc. Those are pretty robust and sturdy beakers, I must say. But anyway, the so the yes, so the fight sequence, right? It's that big beefy frame that he has here. It serves so well. When I see the film, for example, we spoke about it fairly recently, which is the film Spectre. And Hinks. Hinks reminds me a lot of the way in which Lippy here carries on. There's the sense of inevitability and this destructive force. He also has that there's this Goldfinger odd job type of feel to the in terms of there's a moment where Bond throws some dumbbells, and Lippy just flicks them off, much like the gold bars in the fight sequence in Fort Knox between Bond and Oddjob. So there are those moments like that. I thought it was a great fight, and it was. I thought it ended very well and had a nice capping off to it. And so the and I remember too. Again, I was very young when I saw it in the theater, so there are many things I don't recall. But one of the things I do remember is when it cuts to a shot of the beaker and what's written on the beaker. I didn't quite get the joke at the time, but I remember that moment, and people were laughing in the theater. And so it was, and of course we understand too that this was James Bond's specimen. Uh, so so anyway, so it's and I love too how they're fighting, and the people in shrublands are just concerned more about what they're seeing on TV, or so, it's great stuff. And so anyway, yes. So thank you. Yes, Erwin says, "How we really need to do some research on that never say." So this is the point in the live stream earlier where I was talking about how many times the word never appears at the end. Pedro E. Perfect Connery. Hello, Pedro. Thank you very much for joining. Yes. Damien, yes, the scene with Lippy versus 007 in the kitchen is classic. Yes. Who remembers the cook's immortal? You lunatics. Thank you. Yes, yes, the poor, yes. She's still cooking, right? But we're understanding it's pretty late at night, so I think that already dinner time is past. I think I'm not sure, but wow, goodness. Um, yes. Oh, Raymond Rodriguez is here. Hello. Yes. It's nice to see you, my friend. Yes. Um, Scrolling down here. Let's see. Okay, Damfool says the unhinged quality of Largo's performance here. The unhinged quality mixes with the silences and charming mannerisms is very unnerving. Well said. Combined with the rich businessman empire, there are echoes of Max Zorin there. Yes, Max Zorin, Green, yeah, even Draxish. In terms, so if you are a wealthy industrialist who is uh, uh, giving charity balls in a Bond film, you are a villain. Yeah, so okay, so interesting. Yes, um, yes, I do see the strongest connection, I think, between this Largo and Max Zorin. Yes, even down to the Max and Maximilian. Yes. And then Damfool says Domination is the best scene in the film. Yes. A brilliant reinvention of the traditional Bond versus villain societal confrontation, all the more amazing because the actors had no game to react to. That is a very good point. They were reacting at the time to nothing that would have been added later in post. So, well said, yes. Um, uh, the seemingly influenced Gardner, similar scene in Roll of Honor a year later. Oh, very good point too. Yes, and Zyrothra says, I love that this fancy establishment has a full arcade room. Absolute heaven. Yes. Irwin, Domination reminds me of a board game I had in the 80s called Zislag in Dutch, Battles in the Deep in English, I think. Please forgive me for my poor pronunciation of the Dutch language. Zyrothra, voice synthesizer. Yes. Raymond Rodriguez, Connery actually sounded more Scottish in his earlier films. Interesting. Um, Damien says very futuristic for 1983. I thought anyway. Um, yes, Damfles, you said that voice, and I immediately started saying danger level. Yes, danger level. Yes. Uh, yes, great stuff. I want to play that game so much. Domination. Yes, even down to the shocks, the electric shocks. I'd love to play that game. Could you imagine if they had actually released the actual version of that game targeted towards maybe the teenage market and above with the electric shocks? That would have been wow, my goodness. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine the legal ramifications of that. But anyway, yes. Um, Scroll it. Yes, and Damful says he's certifiable. Yes, well done. Uh, Okay. Erwin says, it's pretty insane that a lush casino with high rollers has an arcade hall as well. It's great. Zaruther says, just needs Tron. And then we have everything. They might have had Tron, right? My goodness, that's a great point. Oh, gosh. Gosh. Oh, gosh. Talk about another film I'd love to talk about. It's Tron. Oh, I love Tron. I love Tron. Uh, I'll say it again. I love Tron. So that's another one I saw so many times as a kid. Oh, my goodness. Yes, Tron. I'm sorry. Uh, focus back on Never Say Never Again. Yes. Uh, let's see. Bond lost like 26,000 points. Yes, I was right. I always forget. I always say when I watch the film, I have to keep track of the score, but I never remember to do that, or I always fail to do that. So. Yes, it's a charity for orphans, but Erwin says we never get to see any orphans either. Although one could argue both Bond and Largo are orphans themselves. Oh, interesting point. Let's see. Damn ENP. Hello. My father took me to see this in the theater when I was a kid. My first Bond film. He was so excited going in, not so much going out. Well, still, that's lovely. That's a lovely. Thank you very much for sharing that memory, Damien P. Thank you so much, my dear friend. Thank you. Chiggers is here. Hello. It's nice to see you. Yes, it's Samuel Stevens talking about Gavin O'Hurley. Yes. Um, Erwin says, I have yet to see Superman 3. I probably never will unless Daisuke dedicates a live stream to that film. So I don't really care for the character. Okay, that's okay. That's a great film, though. Um, let's see. Let's scroll down here. Oh, Patrick Doherty. Hello. You say, hey, Daisuke, loved Bond movies as a kid. I remember ITV used to run Bond seasons and would always include this one, even though it wasn't an official Bond. Yes, Erwin says yes. The Your Place or Mine woman was also in The Spy Who Loved Me. Yes, as the overly impressed hotel clerk. And Erwin says the way Pat Roach goes about his way boxing is very similar to the way he fights in Raiders of the Lost Ark during that epic showdown. Yes. Um, uh, you know, uh, uh, yeah. But there's a lot of, how should I put it? In Raiders of the Lost Ark, yes, there's a lot of ketchup. There's a lot of ketchup in that fight. That's for sure. Damn fool. I think it's just yes. Okay, talking about the game. Yes, the let's see. Kubrick Clever says, did Richard Lester direct Superman 3? Yes. Ironically, I'm about to rewatch Superman 3 this week. Yes, yes, Danville. So, um, please do a commentary track if you haven't done so already. That would be great too. So, the other character I want to talk about, there are a number of others. Fatima Blush. So, we've spoken about Largo. Now, let us talk about Fatima Blush. So, I don't know about you, but Barbara Carrera's performance as Fatima Blush is another huge highlight of this film. This is huge. Her performance here is epic, and I don't know how they managed to do it, but they did. Which is, you have this epic performance by Klaus Maria Brandauer on one hand, and you have this epic performance by Barbara Carrera on the other hand. Of course, I think the screen time is different. You see a little bit more of Fatima Blush maybe toward in the first half of the film and less Largo, and then as the film progresses, you obviously see more Largo and less Fatima Blush, or no Fatima Blush at all after the confrontation between her and Connor, or her and Bond, of course. Excuse me. I need more introduction of free radicals in the system. But in any event, so Fatima Blush, she is a force to be reckoned with. Everything about her performance is a force to be reckoned with. Even down to the way she water skis. There's just something like, oh my goodness, something's gonna happen. And this performance, great. And that way she treats Patachi, like, oh, smoking, oh, just, and that whole bit about just her walking and the sound, as I say, the clickety clack sound of the shoes as they echo wherever she walks. This is such a key component because it adds a sinister element, as well as her performance, which is so memorable. And she's dancing and then throw the snake and kissing the snake and throwing just the use how she pulls the antenna thing out with her teeth like that and pushes the button and uses the bomb devices as her primary weapon of choice, but that doesn't work out. And then, of course, she has the confrontation with Bond after the casino charity ball. Now, this brings me to a number of highlights. I mentioned the domination scene. Domination. I designed it myself. Scene was being probably my favorite scene in the film. What comes very close to that, maybe it's tied or maybe just a little bit, maybe up there, as another one of my favorite scenes in the film is after, or it's also at the ball during the tango when Largo and Fatima Blush are looking from above. And they're saying, I'll give you one more chance. You better not fail me this time, number 12. And Fatima Blush is about to give him a kiss, which is suggestive maybe of their relationship. We're not sure what the relationship is, but it's suggestive of something. But then he says number 12, and that turns her back, and she says, yes, I have one more chance. And then we see a shot of her flinging her hat away, and she's dancing down the steps. La, da, da, da. That is such a great moment. Every time that appears when I watch this one, yes, fantastic. And then it goes into, of course, what happens to Nicole, and then the final chase scene with the confrontation in that boathouse area. Uh, and my goodness, yes, what a confrontation this is. It's just talk about over the edge. Here's another completely over the edge uh, uh, character that is great, and she has this type of way in which she is also using everything about her, a type of supreme confidence, type of sexuality expression, as well as this sense of a control, and also having fun. Every time she's there, she's always singing, dancing, or just having a good time. She's walking in the hotel lobby and she starts to dance, and it's great stuff, great stuff. And so here we have that final competition. Now she's got Bond, but she just wants that extra sense of satisfaction and complete victory over Bond by having him acknowledge in writing that she was the best. Okay, all right, so fine, just take a scrap of paper that's just on the ground here and just right. Uh, um, and of course, this leads to the use of the Algernon pen, not quite perfected yet, right? As we see, because he shoots the pen. It's supposed to be a gun, and we see Algernon early in the film use the pen, and it upon impact it explodes immediately. But apparently here, upon impact, it didn't quite do the job. There's a little bit of a delay in terms of that. That delay could have been costly, in fact, but to Bond, because she could have then shot another bullet from the gun that could have killed Bond instantly. But no, she just looks at it and just that allows her one final laugh, the villainous cackle, as it were. And then the sudden boom explosion, she just explodes. And that's in this fireball. So, and then we find out later that Felix Leiter was there all the time. And so he could have just stopped it all the time. But oh no, he's just letting it play out to see. I'm watching this from the side here. I could step in, but no, I'll just let Bond handle it. See what that's so great. Okay. And then, of course, the way they escape is dun 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 dun. Oh, fantastic scene. But of course, right, we have here the confrontation between Fatima Blush and Bond. This is so odd, so quirky, so memorable. And what a way to end. What a character. What a character. What a way to end the demise of a villain here. Wow. Wow. Just and the cackling, and then of course the close up of the shoes. Her whole body just exploded in flames, but her shoes remained intact, which is amazing. Those shoes are really sturdy. I wonder what the brand are of the shoes. I want to find out. But in any event, wow, what a character this is, Fatima Blush. Um, from start to finish. It's very much mirroring, of course, right? It's mirroring what we saw, say, in earlier Thunderball story and Fiona Volpe character, and pretty much like that. There's a sense of when she's gone from the narrative, somehow some of the momentum gets lost, perhaps arguably so, at least from certain perspectives. Here, I think yes, there is a certain momentum. It shifts, and then the focus then shifts on almost entirely on the villainy of the Largo, because then go immediately to the underwater sequence with Felix Leiter and Bond inspecting the flying saucer, but then Bond getting sucked into the underwater entranceway there, leaving Felix Leiter outside, and that leads to the interaction between Bond and Largo, of course, on the boat, and then beyond. So yes, another great element of this film, Fatima Blush. Wow, wow, just love it, love it. Okay, so let's go to the. Okay, let's see. Yes, Damfool says Carrera's performance is truly the energy of the film, much like Luciana Paluzzi's was in Thunderball. Luciana Paluzzi was, of course, she portrayed Fiona Volpe in the '60s film. Like that film, once the character is gone, the film drops in energy. My only issue is that Fatima not only goes over the top but destroys the top. Interesting, yes. Um, Patrick says, I think Fatima has to be a top 5 Bond girl. She's somewhat similar to Famke Jensen's character in Goldeneye, the Xenia Onatopp character in that film. Let's see here. Uh, oh, great. I'm seeing a discussion of Superman. Well done. Thank you. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Yes, I also saw that in the theater, too. The theatrical version, anyway. Yes. That's great. That's great. That was great. I can't do it. I can't do the you're gonna get it. Right, great stuff. Um, yes, Raymond says, "Wow, Barbara Carrera was great." Yes, I agree, Raymond. Exactly, exactly. Yes, Erwin says it's also pretty hilarious that Felix Leiter was there this whole time. Yes, I know. I know. Yes. Yeah. Damfool says algae is one of the great in jokes against Ian Bond films. Yes, yes. Algernon algae. Yes, algae. Stick it up your nose. Yes, yes. Uh, yeah. Patrick says there's a funny part on the boat where she compliments Connery on his great body. He just looks like an average man in his 50s. I just thought that was ridiculous. Well, I must say too that scene with the two of them in the ship, there's that's a pretty it's a pretty intense scene between the two of them, and so um and I look at it now, I was like, wow, that they really went for it in terms of what they were showing, and there's a scene where it's like, oh, and then they go back in. Yeah, it's wow. Anyway, um, let's see. All right, let's see. Um, Absolute Boris here. Hello, and you say here has no place in the original Bond series, in my opinion. The featured song is also crap. Yeah, it's it's this is film that's certainly not for everyone. That's for sure. And of course, you the Eon films are there, and so those will always be there, so you can watch and rewatch. You don't have to watch this film if it's not to your liking. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's see here. Um, let's see. Where, um, let's see. Um, Fatima or Fiona? Interesting. Samuel Stevens asks. Um, Irwin says both are great villains, but I would go with Fiona as I also prefer that film. So Fiona is referring to the film Thunderball. So well done, well done. Let's see. Um, and Damn Fool says Fiona, no contest, one of the best performances in the series, and Paluzzi absolutely shines with Terrence Young's direction. Well done. Yes, it's again. It's I mentioned at the very start of the live chat or the live stream, which is the comparison. I think between the Eon produced films and this film. I think for me too. It's when one is comparing. If one has to ask which do you prefer? I mean, it's a hard case when doing the comparative analysis from my point of view. But each film is each film, so you can take it or not. So, this film does exist, and so it does. Right, it's probably almost inevitable that comparisons will, in fact, need to be made with between this film and Thunderball. But that's fair, completely fair. And so, if you had to ask me, yeah, it's tough, but because I also see too Fatima Blush and Fiona Volpe to be also very different characters. There is a type of like Fiona Volpe has this cool demeanor. She's able, I think, to control her emotions, especially in public. Whereas Fatima Blush has the opposite reaction. She tends to be very almost explosive when it comes to her own public displays of emotion. So that I think is a really maybe difference in terms of the characterization. But we'll see. But again, of course, I too, when I think about the discussion of Thunderball, the Fiona character was also one of the great strengths of not just that film, but I think the entire run of Sean Connery films up to that point and even beyond too. One of the great characters, that's for sure. So you're comparing one character with one of the great characters from the Eon franchise. It's a tough comparison, that's for sure, but still a very good one to make. Let's see. Randy is here. Hello, Randy. Says, I don't think this was very good. It does have a more dark feel. I think Dalton would have done this movie better. Ooh, that's interesting. Dalton in Never Say Never Again. So what would have that been like? When they're dancing, if Dalton's Bond were dancing with Domino in the tango, what would have he said? He was like, um, "Your brother's dead. Keep dancing," something like that. Or could you imagine Timothy Dalton versus Largo in Domination? I designed it myself. Could you imagine that? Dalton would have been like, I'm I'm not gonna let go of these levers. I'm gonna hold on for dear life, even if it means 100% pain level. He would have broken off those things, much like the balloon and Spirit. Ugh! Yes, that would have been so cool. Timothy, imagine. Yes, thank you very much for this, Randy. Thank you. Imagine, yes, Timothy Dalton playing Domination. I designed it myself. That would have been so cool. But anyway, yes. Um, that's a great comment. Thank you. Yes. Um, yes. Zyrother says Dalton would absolutely obliterate those free radicals. Yes. Yes. He would have been just. Yes. That would have been so cool. Oh my goodness. Yes. This also, I think, could have been. This also feels very much. We're speaking of a Dalton film. This also feels very much it has this lovely Roger Moore vibe to it as well, because when I say Roger Moore vibe, there is a sense of having fun, enjoying oneself, and I can imagine to Roger Moore in a lot of the scenes when can you imagine Roger Moore playing Domination as well? I designed it myself. Roger Moore, just imagine when he's trying to shoot those territories of the rest of the world. That would have been so cool. And then when he makes the fall after the end of the battle over the United States, it would have been that very famous, what is it? It would have been great to hear Roger Moore sounds during the game of Domination. But oh well. We get Connery. It's still great. It's still great. Don't get me wrong. But that's yeah. What is? Oh my goodness. Uh, yes. Uh, oh yes, yes, yes. Damn says time to leave. Yes, yes, yes. Dalton. Gosh, this is great. Um, yeah. Patrick says love Moore and Connery, but by this time it was obviously time for a new Bond, long overdue. Yes. Damn Fool says make a custom Roger. Ooh, dub track for all the other films. Thank you very much. Cooper Clever earlier said dice gift for the next James Bond. Oh yes, yes. Thank you very much for that. Um, Zarathustra says $1 million idea. This is great. So can you imagine here? Let's do the thought experiment here about Roger Moore in Never Say Never Again. Um, let's see. Okay, there would be, of course, there would be that after in the opening credits, right, with the na 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 and the he crashes through the thing. When he crashes through it, so that's one. And when he gets the knife in the side, that would have been another one. And then when he's fighting Lippy, that would have been another. There were two, three, four at least crashing through the kitchen. That would have been another one. And where would be some other ones too? My goodness, the of course the fight between or the confrontation between Fatima and Bond when he gets hit with that pole thing. So many. So and of course Domination. That's great, great. So yeah. What would Daniel Craig have done? Maybe when he's in Palmyra, when he's trapped, he would just broken the chains and just ran through the wall in like parkour style or something. I'm not sure. Or uh, uh, gosh, who else? Who else? Well, we mentioned Timothy Dalton, or of course, what am I? Right, Pierce Brosnan. What if Pierce Brosnan who have done here? What could you imagine Pierce Brosnan playing Domination? I designed it myself. Da, da. What would right? It has to be his. Oh, one last. Right. Oh gosh, imagine Pierce Brosnan playing Domination. Wow. That would have been great. Wow. Gosh. Could you also here, let's do it. And instead of Largo versus Bond, how about Pierce Brosnan's Bond versus Roger Moore's Bond in Domination? Who would win? So Pierce Brosnan and then Roger Moore's gosh. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. But anyway, um oh gosh, that would have been so cool. What do we say here? So Randy says, I like the comedy touches in this movie, though I just feel Connery is too old. Zyrother says, what food would each Bond have in that suitcase at the health clinic? That's a good point too. Gosh, maybe Rogers would have been the same as that. What was it? The vodka and the caviar and um, oh gosh, I don't know. What would Timothy Dalton have had? I'm not sure. Was there a lot of? Maybe he would have had a lot of. Oh gosh, what would he have had? Do we see a lot of eating in the Timothy Dalton movies? Um, Bollinger. Maybe he had a lot of Bollinger. The champagne. I'm not sure. Um, gosh. Um, yes, this is great. Damien says, I'd say Moore would have simply fainted against Lippy. Damn Fool says, Nurse to Roger, I need you to fill this, please. Eyebrow raises. Yes. uh, Samuel says, Lazenby and Never Say Never Again. Didn't that almost happen? Oh, interesting point. Yes. Also, Peter Hunt as well. That almost happened. And so, what would he said? Maybe after he opens a suitcase and it has a little taste of it. north of the Caspian or something like that. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Randy says, I always felt Dalton made Bond a little more realistic. That's a good point. Yes. Damn Fool says, Pain Face in Domination Electric Shocks. Yes. Randy, Brosnan playing Domination, that depends on your that depend. I can't do Brosnan so well, but that depends on your definition of safe sex. Yes, yes. Samuel says, Fatima and Famke in Goldeneye, another similarity. Yes. Um, Erwin says Daniel Craig would have had a tepid Heineken in that case. Yes, a lot of Heineken. Yes, Heineken and good, right, and those chocolates too. Yes, um, yes, and maybe a lot of Omega sports watches as well, perhaps. But let's see. Cooper Glover. Yes, yes. That's the wine from the man with the golden gun. Foo yuck. Yes. Damien says Timothy would have had lobster. Yes, Danforth. Dalton would have had cigarettes and Bollinger for sure. Yes, that great moment when in The Living Daylights when Dalton is just blowing cigarette smoke. And it's wow, wow. Let's see. Cephaloclod is your hello. When are you going to guest star on Germa 985 stream? I think you'd be great. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Let's see. Let's see here. Um, David Andrews here. Hello. It's nice to see you. Um, let's see. Damien says, yes, Harrods. Is Harrods Hamburg. Yes, a reference to The Living Daylights and the meeting with Koskov, or as Dalton says, Koskov. Yes, great. I'm so sorry. Okay, we have to stick to never say never again. Okay, so now let's see. What are some other things? Um, let's. Oh gosh, can you imagine too the different bonds and their interactions with, say, I don't know, with, say, Domino, or with like what does he say? I want to provoke a reaction. I'm going to kiss you. And then could you imagine Timothy Dalton? I'm going to provoke a reaction. I want to kiss you. Well, because I've always wanted to, or something like. Maybe it would have been a little bit calmer, perhaps. I'm not sure. Right? Or gosh, what would Roger Moore have maybe just going, oh, just kissing, and then just like the sound at the end of the A View to a Kill there, ooh, oh, good, great, and then Largo just rushes in there with the axe and just breaks the entire studio. And then Roger Moore looks in from the other side of the mirror, like, ooh, that would have been so cool. Wow, yeah. Um, and so, yes, yes. Which Bond would look best in overalls? Ah, it's a good question too. Yes, because there's the overall scene in Never Say Never Again here. Connery, I think, looks great. He looks really he does well in overalls. I wouldn't be able to even begin to hope to compete were I to be in a similar overalls contest. I would lose immediately in not even the first round, the prior prelims, with Connery perhaps going all the way to the finals. But let's see. I think maybe, gosh, wow, wow. Could you imagine Timothy Dalton in overalls in that scene? Can you imagine that? Just begin to imagine. Wow. Wow, that would be amazing. That would be so amazing. That would probably be up there in like Timothy Dalton super coolness. That would be up there in the same league as another Timothy Dalton moment, right, in another film. Well, I don't want to go into too much detail because it's a separate film. It's a separate part of discussion. Um, a Hot Fuzz. This really hurts. Oh, it would be in the same league, right? Timothy Dalton, or it would be like, same Timothy, like in the Everything or Nothing documentary on Bond, where Timothy Dalton is bam, 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 or that, or the Timothy Dalton moment in in that Living Daylights documentary. You know, he's not the Superman or something. Ah, gosh, Timothy Dalton in the overalls. That would have been cool. But anyway, yes, yes. Let's see. Oh, okay. So yes, then is Rowan Atkinson in this film? Yes, he is. Yes, he plays Nigel Small Fawcett. You know the what's the phrase? Our man in the Bahamas, as it were. And so he has a kind of it's a very comic role, and he plays it comedically. It's very brief in the whole scheme of the running time, of course, but still, it's I think it does add a certain other element. um, it's interesting. I think I don't know if it fits so well. Maybe on its own, but in this context, I'm not sure. But again, it goes by really quickly, and it does serve as a type of punchline for the end of the film in terms of that final thing. You know, like with it's sort of like the Tom Mankiewicz school of storytelling. You always have a final kick at the end of the film, much like the Mankiewicz Hamilton films of the Eon series. This time, of course, you don't get a fight between him and Teehee, or you don't get a fight, Winton Kid style. Instead, you get you know the final appearance of our man in the Bahamas, as it were. So, but still, and of course, it then leads into again that kind of moment. So, how many nevers can you have in a given period of 30 seconds in any piece of cinema? I count 8. Maybe there are more. Who knows? But anyway, yes. Um, and of course, that great wink to the film. Um, I don't know what's better. Is this wink when you have the way this film ends with Connery looking at the camera and winking? We had many winks in this and say other Eon Bond films. I think perhaps for me the one that comes to mind is also the wink at the end of License to Kill. Right, you remember that weird moment when suddenly we realize that in the world of James Bond, statues are also alive, and so all the implications of that scene actually they're quite far-reaching when you realize that statues have life. If that's the case, my goodness, that poor statue. What happens to that statue in this film? Never Say Never Again. With in the Tears of Allah well portion at the very end, when Connery is essentially kicking the head, that giant head off into the bottom there. And so if that statue was alive, that would have been a very painful moment indeed. And so, of course, the whole winking thing at the end of License to Kill is very suggestive. Was that even a statue? I'm not sure. Come to think of it, was it a statue, or was it like this floating plush doll in the middle of this fountain? I'm not sure exactly. It probably was a statue. But in any event, we have that winking moment in License to Kill, but also we have Sean Connery winking to the camera here at the end of Never Say Never Again. So very, very interesting stuff. Yes. Um, yes, very good. So um, right now it's 10 after 9 a.m. here. So we're going to continue on with the conversation for just maybe 20 minutes or so. Um, Cooper Glover, oh, I love this. I wear overalls every day. Cooper Glover, I think, yes, that you are fantastic. Yes, of course. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yes. This is the comment of the day for me, I think. Fantastic, Cooper Glover. You are the best. Um, Oh, Damfool says the shark sequence is an amazing sequence and done for real. Nothing today matches up against material like that. So this is the shark sequence. This is another great moment. Fatima Blush is essentially going to kill Bond. You can kill him anytime. But how are you going to do it? You're going to put a sensor on the back of Bond's oxygen tank. So when they go down, that will attract all these sharks. Oh yes, so great stuff. I love it. Love it. Yes, but it's a great scene. You're absolutely correct, and it shows how Fatima Blush is also this ultimately creative assassin. as well as being very volatile. It's a great combination, especially in the context of cinematic Bond. Um, Randy Powell says, "Wow, Johnny English and Bond in the same movie." Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes. Let's see. Samuel says, "More in overalls taking care of alligators." Wow, that would have been so cool. Yes, yes. Gosh, Randy says, "I think Dalton could have played a serious older Bond. That would have been interesting." Cooper Clever says, "They're comfortable," referring to overalls. How are they in terms of washing and laundry? Do they take time to dry? I'm not sure, but because like jeans, I know for me jeans. I guess in Japan, in Japan, at least where I live, we tend to uh, uh, not use dryers. We wash in the laundry, but then we usually hang our clothes to dry. That tends to be something that we don't use. There is a dryer function on the laundry machine, but I think we tend to avoid using that, and instead we go for the drying. So in that way, in my image is uh, like the drying of like denim or jeans, and also I would assume overalls too, because I would assume most, if not all, would be in that same fabric or material. Probably would take some time to dry, more so than say a t-shirt or something. But uh, let's see. Yeah, okay. Cooper Clever says I throw them in the dryer. It seems to be no problem. Excellent, excellent. So there we go. There we go. The solution presents itself. Fantastic. And Damfool says earlier, "Oh no, don't just kill him. Leave him to deal with surgically altered sharks going after a homing device." Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, just like very much. Oh, how are we gonna? Oh, um, Blofeld at the board meeting to Largo. Oh, that's a great plan, Largo. By the way, how are you going to pull off this whole thing about replacing the dummy warheads with the actual warheads? And Largo's, "Oh, I have a good idea for that, Mr. Blofeld. You see, we're going to get a copy of the retinal pattern of the President of the United States. That symbol." And Blofeld's, "I like it. Let's do it." Yes, yes, great stuff. Zyrother says, "Normally you never wash denim unless absolutely necessary." Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Um, let's see. Okay, so never say never again. What are some other comments here? Um, the let's see. There was something I was about to say, but I forgot. Sorry, it'll come to me. So we will. Oh, and Daisuke says, not Daisuke says, Cooper Glover says, "Daisuke, one more Bond film to go. Feature length film, yes, Casino Royale, 60s version Casino Royale. That is the last feature length film that we will talk about. And then, of course, we have to do the redo of the For Your Eyes Only discussion. And then we will do No Time to Die. I don't want to, fingers crossed it'll still keep its release date. I don't want to say, okay, but any event, yes, No Time to Die will be, if it's made available to watch, that'll be something to see next. Um, yes. So, so let me. Okay. So now that's the chat there. So we have maybe a few more minutes here. So let me now just say a few more things that I have about Never Say Never Again, the film. And then we can conclude with some final thoughts and then some afterthoughts, as well as plans, immediate steps for going ahead. So, Never Say Never Again, returning to this film. So, I think there are a number of, uh, we acknowledge, or a number of people who acknowledge they don't like the film, or there are some things that work, other things don't, especially when compared maybe to the other Eon produced films. And that's fine. That is completely fine. No film is made for everyone, after all, especially a film that is in this high profile or related to this high profile cinematic character, such as the James Bond character, especially in the cinematic representation of it. Excuse me, more free radicals. But Never Say Never Again does hold, as I say, in my heart, a certain sense of a nostalgic connection, as well as having elements that I still recognize now as being a lot of fun, a lot of fun. I mean, I didn't mention too much about, say, the Domino Bond relationship, or Domino as a character, Kim Basinger's character or performance. I think she captures it very, very well. A sense of this her relationship with Largo, and it's already on kind of. It's this weird balance where she's obviously very at the start. She's very much close to Largo when he comes back to the boat, or to the flying saucer, and she's, oh, I missed you, and she has this attraction to him, but then suddenly it turns, and there's this, what if I left you, and I, cut your throat, and it turns a little bit deadly. So there is a sense of I'm not sure how much she wants to be with Largo at the start. There's a sense that maybe there is this really strong mutual attraction that suddenly turns very sinister. The relationship does, when she begins to realize what's going on, and I love that moment when Bond reveals during the tango, "Your brother's dead. Oh, keep dancing," and it's a great way to reveal it. It's great because that's the moment where she can't show emotion. She has to show like nothing's wrong, everything's okay, and that's actually it's a really clever way to present information in that way. And so it doesn't mean that we have this huge this need for this emotional response necessarily. It's like it's very calm and collected, and the way it has to be, because everyone is watching, all eyes are on them, and so if something were to be amiss, the game would be up. That's a very clever way of presenting information. And then I love that that kind of uh, there is this how should I put it? Oh yeah, and there isn't much time. Well, actually, there isn't any time, I think, between uh, Jack Patachi and Domino, but there's this. They look very much the same or similar in appearance, and so you can understand that there is this brother-sister relationship. I suppose that maybe I would have liked to have seen, in terms of the characterization uh, of Domino, I would have liked to have seen more of that relationship. How much indeed her relationship with her brother meant to her. We do get a sense of it in this film. I think we get a stronger sense of it actually in uh, in um, in Thunderball, between right, Domino, or Dominique Duval, and Francois, and that moment when she says, right, in Thunderball, Francois, he's dead. And then you have the great moment of Connery and his hand, like that, right? So that I'm not sure how. Maybe in Thunderball, that relationship dynamic is maybe more strongly pronounced, and so you understand the emotional weight of the confrontation between her character and Largo in Thunderball. I'm not sure how much that is felt in Never Say Never Again. I know it's meant to be there, but it becomes right, and we don't get that sense. We get the sense of how Domino here is very close to Bond, and that's, she says, I don't want you. She's worried about Bond. I don't want you to go back out there. That's what she says. But in Thunderball, it's like, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for my brother, and that's her pronouncement about what her motivation is in the final arc of the film. And so I find the Thunderball presentation to be much more emotionally filled with the possibility of an emotional investment. That's not to say that this Never Say Never Again is it doesn't work. It is there, and that's for sure. But that, I don't think, is a fault of the performance per se, as much as it is the way in which the characterization was planned out. But I think the actual interactions with the characters here, everyone concerned, are done very well, at least from my perspective, and it adds up, I think, to an overall very entertaining time. I mean, this is ultimately a very entertaining film. Does it have its high notes and low notes? Yes, and maybe it does have some low notes. As I say too, I would have loved to have had a more maybe spectacular uh, a confrontation between Bond and Blofeld. We can see their faces. This is where I think Thunderball serves that functions so well. We could have had this great moment in that well and had a fight. Incidentally, is it me or is it if you had there's a nuclear warhead right in that well sequence, that interior well cavern sequence, right? There's a nuclear warhead that's being uh, moved. In this space, you have all this people shooting guns and throwing grenades. I think to myself, maybe what is it? It's like the scene in Aliens, the film Aliens, where you're in a particular moment and like no, you don't want to shoot because the ricochet could set off a chain reaction that could cause this explosion or something like that. And so the similar things happens. Like if you're shooting all these bullets in this confined space with a nuclear warhead somewhere in the vicinity, the chances are still there that something could hit and cause an explosion. So I would think maybe one should maybe not do a lot of shooting in this. But anyway, that's part of the action-filled sequences of the final act of the film. I get it. So, but any event, what was I saying? So it would have been interesting, maybe as a cinematic climax, to have seen an actual duel, physical duel between Bond and Largo. Who knows? Maybe there would have been another shark pellet, much like Live and Let Die. It would have been interesting to relive the shark pellet scene, see what have happened. Could you imagine Largo and a shark pellet? And then that would have been really cool. That would have been really cool indeed, just to have that. But it's like, but here we have the mask and da da the end. That's it. Going. But anyway, and then of course we go back to what? How should we end this? Have Bond have a fight with Rowan Atkinson. That's so cool. And then never, 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 no, no, no. That's great stuff. But yes, strengths and weaknesses. It certainly has a number of weaknesses. That's for sure. Especially when comparing with the other films, and as I say, the comparison is probably unavoidable. But still, be that as it may, it does serve very well and for what it is, and I think it has a great touch to it, all the same. So in any event, yes, that is my sort of closing comment on this film. Never say never again. So I will now turn to the what was the last comment I left? Zyrotha says, never wash denim unless absolutely necessary. Okay, yes. Thank you. Here we go. So yes, so thank you very much. So this means that we have one more or two more. Casino Royale, the 60s version, and then No Time to Die whenever that comes out. But No Time Not to Die, that's going to be later down the line. So as far as the immediate future, Casino Royale, and then the redo of For Your Eyes Only. And then after that, I'm not sure. I did mention Star Trek, but I think I do want to keep up the James Bond discussion. So I might do, again, I'm not decided yet, but I might try to do more just James Bond film discussion topics. Like what are you, I mentioned before, but maybe next week we'll do or something. Oh, let's do on this date. Let's do a live stream. We'll talk about um, your favorite James Bond songs or something like that. So I'll try to keep that up. Okay, so Erwin says there is now an official red carpet premiere for No Time to Die late September. Oh, okay. Um, Damn Fool says Never Say Never Again has become of a handful of problematic films that I rewatch over and over and love the bad along with the good. That's a good way of putting it. Yes. Um, so Patrick says the last Bond movie I watched was The World Is Not Enough. Yes, I haven't watched any of the Craig Bonds. Randy says I think Tom Hardy would be good as Bond. Um, Kubrick Lover says Daisuke, where will you go after you finish with the James Bond franchise? Yeah, um, yeah, I did mention Star Trek streams. I don't know if it's going to be live streams or if it's going to be discussion. I'm not sure yet, but I we'll talk. Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. Or I just mentioned earlier today, Superman or Tron. Oh my goodness, A Tron live stream discussion. I love that movie. I love that movie so much. Tron. There are so many moments in that film. I just love. Oh goodness. Anyway, um, let's see. So I'm just scrolling down here. Rusty Shacks is here. Hello. Hello. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's nice to see you. Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry. More free radicals needed in the form of tea. Not parsley tea, but tea all the same. Let's see. Scrolling down here. Damn Fool says, I'm excited for the Casino Royale 67 discussion. As everyone knows, I think it's a masterpiece of insanity. Yeah, that's a well used phrase. Masterpiece of insanity. Yes, this is an off the wall, zany film. There is this topic of cinema criticism known as WTF cinema. I think this is a great example or a possible candidate for WTF cinema. Yes, very much so. I'm looking forward to it as well. Bond book discussion. Oh, Zyrother with another great topic. Book discussion. Oh, I never thought of that, but that would be interesting. Ooh, let me think about that one. Okay. Chiggers, what about a Johnny English and James Bond crossover where they have to work together as partners? That's interesting. You kind of got that though in this film too, right? Right? Well, maybe right? What was it? What he says on the phone? Let's go snorkeling. And John Bond, okay, that's fine. Let's go snorkel. So that would have been great if they actually went snorkeling. Maybe that would have been a great scene in this film. Bond goes snorkeling. Right? Bond goes snorkeling with Small Fawcett, and all the hijinks and adventures that they get into as they're snorkeling. And then like they're snorkeling. Oh, here's the flying saucer, and here they are transporting the warhead. Oh, and then Small Fawcett does his little fight, and then maybe, and then after that, Bond says to Small Fawcett something like, "Small Fawcett, I need you to find some information about a Stradivarius, and meet me at the Prater Park." At midnight, and then he says to Small Fawcett, and Small Fawcett, thanks. Dun, 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 bah! And Smearchmeonim attacks again. Again, this is a reference to Living Daylights, of course. But anyway. I hope you. Oh, Damful says, I hope you liked my top 10 commentaries, Daisuke. Our last. Oh, good. Gosh. Is that on? Let me check that out. I haven't seen that video. I would love that. Yes, we did talk about favorite commentary tracks. Yes, well done. Okay, that's another reason. Again, check out the channels. Damn Fool, Kubrick Lover. Oh, so many fantastic. Thank you. Zyrothers, can we please do a Tron discussion? I adore too. Really? Really? Yes. Oh, Timothy is here. Hello, Superman. Yes, I know your love of Superman, Timothy. Yes. Yes, I recall our conversations about it on other video comment sections. So, oh, excellent. Excellent. Let's see. Yes, the Tron sequel. Okay, the Tron sequel. Yes, I have a number of thoughts on the Tron sequel, Tron Legacy, right? And it's an interesting one. Yeah, there's all this talking about how to view like Rinsler and anyway, yeah, well, we can talk, right? And Flynn, where are you now? Yes. So, but Tron, my goodness, Tron, that is, I love that movie so much. I love that movie so much. There's that Simpsons episode, The Simpsons, and there's a Treehouse of Horror episode where Homer goes into another dimension through a portal that's in their house. and he's asked to try to describe what it looks like, and he turns into this 3D thing, and he says, "Has anyone ever seen the movie Tron?" And everyone's like, "No, no, 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 no." And Wiggum, I think it's Chief Wiggum, who says, "Yes, I mean no." It's okay, all right, all right. I was actually so shocked when I saw that Simpsons episode for the first time, and I heard that joke because I thought everyone's seen Tron. What are you talking about? Right? No, right? If I were there, I would have been, yes, I've seen Tron. I know exactly what you're talking about, Homer. Yes, okay, it's perfect in my mind. Exactly, yes. Yes. So, great. Uh, was it Chief Wiggum? Thank you, Cooper Gloves. Yes, it was Chief Wiggum. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Um, Randy Palace's best Bond villain discussion. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Um, Tom says, Daisuke, hello, Daisuke, Twin Peaks, Lynch films. All I'll say is, well, I'll say, yes, it's happening. It is happening. So, and then just between you and me, it'll be a discussion of each of the episodes of Twin Peaks, starting with the pilot. But I don't know when it'll be up. Just between you and me, I'm thinking maybe October, but I'm not sure. But anyway, yes. Oh, Superman. Yes, Superman would be. Superman would be really great. I think Superman would have, um, as I say, I mentioned Superman because of the connections between Superman, or the connections that I perceive to be there between Superman 3 and this film, Never Say Never Again, including which, of course, the time period in which these films were produced. But yeah, Superman 3, oh, gosh, gosh. You know, there are those films where you just can't ever forget unseeing. You can never unsee the films because there's some iconic moment, some moment that just stays with you forever, whether it's a moment of beauty, sadness, triumph, tragedy, or horror, or this traumatic feeling, something you've seen that just can't ever escape your mind for as long as you live. Superman 3 has this moment for me. Right. This is really like moment you see as a kid. It's like, my goodness, wow, shocking stuff. But anyway, yes, one of these, one of these ones. I didn't know there were some Simpsons fans here as well. I'm a big fan of The Simpsons, although I hadn't seen it recently. I've seen it up to a certain point. Um, right. So I was saying this joke and to this person the other day, and they didn't get it. So oh gosh, I guess it was a Simpsons reference. You know, it was anyone who knows the Simpsons will know this joke. Baby on board something something. Burt Ward. Hey, the song writes itself, right? So yes. Um, yes, Cooper Glover Simpsons got bad at a certain point. So um, I don't. I think I stopped watching, but that wasn't because of the series quality or anything like that. But it was just because I couldn't watch it anymore because I was moving. I think in different places at the time, or I wasn't watching. I was too busy watching. I was too busy with other things that maybe to watch it. So there's some kind of circumstance. I forget exactly, but I stopped watching it at a certain point. But it was. It's so great. Those episodes are really wonderful. Right, of course, there's the James Bond one, Scorpio, dun 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 dun. Right. Um, so it's fantastic. Uh, but anyway, yeah. What are some good Simpsons episodes? I'm not sure, but the or here's another Simpsons reference. Oh, the goggles, they do nothing, right? So, um, anyways, I'll stop right there. But, yes, Samuelson, thank you. Baby on Board is the episode about the barbershop quartet. Yes, thank you. Yes, exactly. Yes. Wow, an award statue. Oh, it's a Grammy. Yeah. Um. So, but anyway, so let us end. I'll be here for another few minutes. So how should we end this? Um, let's end it. We'll end it with. I'll. Yeah. Um, how should we end this? Maybe we should end with the word never. Okay, we'll end. So let's do this. We'll end the stream, and so we'll say how many times can we have the word never appear in a live chat. We'll try to top the amount of times the word never appears in this film, especially in the last, say, 30 seconds. I counted 8, maybe there are more, but let's try to end the live chat with as many never. So when I say end, just put as many of the word, put uh, uh, use the word never and insert it into the live chat as many times as possible. So um, anyway, my friends, so we will end here. The next discussion will be on Casino Royale 67. I will announce later the schedule for that. It'll probably be on a Sunday or at the same time. Maybe not next week, but maybe a couple weeks or a little bit longer. But we will we will we will discuss that, and then for your eyes only, and then after that, who knows? But I would like to continue the bond discussions in this live stream format, so maybe we'll try to pick some themes and topics of discussion for that. So anyway, my friends, thank you so much for this opportunity. I had such a blast being able to hear from you and your thoughts about this very, very interesting film. Again, this is the 1983 film, which is Never Say Never Again. So I will see you all hopefully again very soon. But until then, my friends, as always, please continue to be happy and healthy and well. This is very important, so I'll repeat it. Please continue to be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. So thank you very much for that. And so, in that spirit, my friends, will you stop watching movies? Will you ever stop loving this thing which we call cinema? What are your answers, my friends? I say never. But what about you? Thank you very much, and cheers. Never. That's a lot of nevers. Fantastic. Never, never, never. Timothy says never, 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 never. Chigger says never. Tom says never. Erwin says never, 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 never say never again. Gamble never. Uber Glover says never, 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 never. Less. Samuel says let's never discuss this film again. Never. Vaughn, hello. Never. Damien says thank you very much. Thank you. Patrick, never. Cheers. Randy, never, never. Wow, never. This is a lot of nevers. Nevers. I'll keep it open for another minute to see if there are any more nevers. So I wrote this. See you next time, my friend. Thank you. Randy, never, 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 never. Fantastic. Fantastic. Last call for any more nevers. Sam was never. Okay. Matt, maybe never. Randy, never, never, never. Mr. Jabbers, 14, hello, never, thank you. Kubrick says, Kubrick Lover 72 says, bye everyone, I'll see you never again. Just kidding, yes. Oh, Justin, oh gosh, we went all the way through this without Justin Bieber. Yes, damn fool, well done, yes, thank you. Very good, Tom. It says never. Oops, I said it again. It's 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 never a bad thing to oversay the word never. Never. What is it? Hold on. Actually, so if that's the case, we should say it's not never say never again, but always say never all the time, right? Because if it's actually never say never again, we would never say the word never ever again. So in fact, we should contradict the advice given to us by the title. Is that correct? Right? Never say never again means we would never say the word never ever again. But that's not the case. It's fun to say the word never in this case. Again, of course, it depends on context too. But anyway, never, 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 never. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, my friends. And cheers. Thank you.